How's it going, everybody? I have Jon Gillespie-Brown back with me today, founder and CEO of Nalpeiron. They've been a successful SaaS company for over 20 years now. Thank you, John, for joining us. We're looking forward to hear your expertise.
No problem.
Today's topic is going to be on the retain phase of the customer life cycle. So previously we've covered trial, POC conversions, adopt just before this, which was onboarding and activation. And today is all about retain, which is the journey once they have kind of settled into your product. They're now kind of moving into the renewals phase. We want to make sure we keep them happy. We want to make sure we are understanding their engagement patterns, their usage patterns, and all sorts of fun things to make sure that they renew on the next paycheck. So my first question to you, John, are what are some of the most common misconceptions sales organizations have about their role in long-term customer retention?
The role, I think the majority of SaaS companies, customer success teams are very driven by a basic set of playbooks. And I'm sure that'll get more and more as we automate more and more with AI and what have you. Long story short, I think most people really are busy and want to be dealt with very specifically aligned to the challenges they've got. And so, for example, just drip emailing people uh, isn't that helpful? Just doing a JBR every quarter isn't that helpful? Or it might be helpful, but isn't necessarily specifically tailored to the needs of that customer or that individual within the customer with their pain points at that point in time. So the only thing I would say with regard to that is if you can be highly focused on understanding and trying to predict the needs of the customer in advance such that you can provide a fantastic high level white glove service to that individual and to that customer at all times. Sounds easy, really tough to do. In summary, mostly we are stuck on quarterly JBRs and an annual renewal, and that's the only time we bother speaking to the client. And it should be the other way around. We should not bother with a JBR if it's not needed. We should just reach out to Seth and say, I see that there seems to be some challenges. Here's some solutions to that. How can I help? What can I do? How can I keep you activated and motivated within the usage of my product?
I really liked your analogy of the white glove service there. Can you just dive a little bit more into that and what that would look like for customers?
Yeah, I think it's very challenging to have systems that work across particularly volumes of B2B clients. And so it's very easy and I'm probably still reasonably helpful to do a drip sequence from your CRM, just trying to touch base with people. But that to me is like dropping off the goods at the end of the driveway and leaving the client to go out there and drag them all the way back into their home, as opposed to delivering them, unpacking them, getting rid of all the garbage, and setting it all up so it's perfect. If you could fully understand what your client was doing during that, quarter or year between renewals for a B2B kind of client, and then you could dive in on an individual contact within a client and have a conversation precisely about what they have or have not done in your product and remediation if there is a challenge, or congratulations if they're kind of really getting a great deal of value. At that point, then you can ask for referrals, you can look for case studies, you can generate value from that relationship based on this idea of a very deep connection with the individual, based at least in foundation with an understanding of precisely what they're doing with your product or not doing with your product. White glove service fixes two problems, right? It could be like, oh, shoot, there's a problem with this delivery. I'm right here, right now. Let me fix it so that you're happy. Or it could be the other way around. Everything's great. In we go. Looks fantastic. I put it in the corner where you wanted it. I'm not going to bother you anymore now until you need some help. So I'm not doing a JBR when you don't need one. I'm only interacting with you when you truly want some help and I'm truly adding value. I'm not doing a JBR just so I can upsell you. You're not showing up at a JBR thinking, they don't really care about me. They just want my money. That's what I mean.
That's incredible. It sounds like there's a couple of trends that I'm sure you've noticed over the years through customer experience. Can you talk a little bit about the trends CS managers, CSM managers look for to kind of understand where the customer's at?
Yeah. The benefit of a module like what we're talking about here, retain in in Zengain, is exactly that, trends. So essentially, if I'm a CS rep, I want to get a feeling for what's happening in that account. And that's generally by looking at a trend of usage over time. For example, if I'm doing a renewal, sometime before that renewal, I would look at the current trend. The trend, by the way, could relate to many things. Could be the number of users that are engaged with the product, the level of engagement, the feature consumption, whatever it works for your particular company. And I want to compare that to history. If I've had that customer for a few years, how are they compared to last year as a whole year trend? Or maybe quarter on quarter before I do a JBR, how is that looking compared to last quarter? Is the trend up and to the right, or is it down? If the trend is down, why is it down? Let's dig into the details. Let's try and figure stuff out. And by the way, the great thing about this particular element is, so once I've got a trend, I can break it down and say, okay, let's pick on something like usage. What is happening here? Because just because the trend is down doesn't necessarily mean that there is a problem, right? Could be, well, hang on, let's go back and look at last quarter, last year. Oh, yeah, same thing. Maybe it's seasonal, maybe there's other issues. Or let's drill in and see, did a key contact leave? And that key contact was the one that was constantly using the product day in, day out. Right. Well, this could be a challenge for us. Could be our internal salesperson. We better fix this. We need to get someone back in here using our product and seeing value in it. So you can drill. Trend gives you an idea of what's happening. You can compare trends over time, or you can drill down into a trend and try and figure out what precisely is happening. Is it bad? Is it good? What should I do about it? Right? That would be my feedback on your question there.
I could imagine the difference in somebody who has access to information like that must be vast. Another valuable aspect of this whole process would be the timing portion, right? So how much does timing play a role in that renewal process? Because obviously these ideally your company's constantly growing, and as you're constantly growing, it's sometimes hard to manage the renewals that are coming in and so how does timing play uh in that role specifically?
Yeah, again, most CS teams are super busy and often driven by quarterly JBRs or annual renewals, and that's all they're focused on. So they don't really talk to the customer very much outside those regimented kind of traditional methodologies. And one of the benefits of a tool like Retain is that it will inform you when there are downward trends or upward trends or challenges or usage engagement, those kinds of stats. And the benefit of that is that you can, once again, be Mr. or Ms. White Glove. You don't have to wait for the delivery when it's fixed a year from now. You can deal with challenges right away. Or you can deal with opportunities right away and obviously look for upsells. I mean, why, just taking upsells for a second, why wait a whole year to the renewal to try and upsell a client? Your CFO wants that cash right now. Your commission is paid right now. It's not paid in a year. If you get stuck in a cadence, that's not good for your company. So why not? Oh, there's an upward trend. This is looking like it's interesting. I can deal with it. More importantly, though, and probably the kind of churn component of this particular module is something to watch out for. Now, if you wait till a month before the renewal and they've been upset and not using the product for 6 months, this is a big problem. So the benefit of something like this particular product is Retain will send you an alert when a downward trend is happening, right? And at that point, you can jump in. It could be a month after renewal, right? Are you going to wait 11 months to talk to the customer and go, "How's it going?" No, you should be Mr. White Glove or Ms. White Glove, right? But I've seen here that there could be some challenges. What can I do to help? What's causing the challenges? What are issues at hand that we can remediate right now, right? Don't wait.
And you mentioned briefly there churn, obviously on every CSM's, every sales leader's mind. Uh, just as a forewarning, what are some of the most common and reliable indicators of churn during this process?
Yeah, we mentioned them before. We're looking at trends, and it's probably pretty obvious to most CS reps. If you've got a downward trend in consumption, engagement, use of features, people logging in relative over time, this is a very red flag. We in Retain uses kind of this idea of a traffic light system. So in this case, you would get a red warning from Retain letting you know very early that this trend has changed and there is something for you to watch out for. So I think the churn itself can occur for lots of reasons. It could be end of life of a product that is related to the system you provide. It could be downsizing in that particular company. Could be a whole bunch of things that would lead to churn, but they would stick with you if you could provide them with a more competitive price situation, or maybe you could move them to a different version of your product, which is more appropriate. Right now, for example, there's a lot of downward pressure on price. People are cutting their budgets and paying attention to that kind of thing. What do we do? Do we just ignore them till renewal and they're like, "Yeah, I couldn't afford it, so I just cancel"? Or do we say, "Hey, we've got a model here we could get you into, a little less expensive, few less seats. How would that work out for you?" And maybe you can retain them by dealing with it at the time rather than letting them just ghost you and you go to the renewal and find out that too late, right? So there are a lot of indicators. They tend to be very specific to the particular use case and the company using these products. So you will know, your playbook will tell you. But this is like an early warning system for you to be able to get in there, start talking, negotiating, and doing your best basically to keep that customer happy.
Amazing. Well, that's very valuable, John. Thank you again for taking the time today, and we will catch you on the next one.
Not a problem.